going to discuss a little bit about what we're seeing here in California on our initial 25 crop receipts. But more importantly, we're going to be talking to some of our friends in Australia about what they have seen so far in their 25 crop. One trend that we've seen over time is what happens in Australia typically happens in California about 6 months later. So I think it's going to be fun for us to maybe compare some notes qualitatively, quantitatively about what we're seeing. So we have the Australia AlmondCo. Russell Harris would argue that he's been in business longer than them. But
they stole my name.
Yeah, arguable. But we have
we haven't settled that one yet.
You're good. You guys are good guys. You can use it.
So we have Ben and Thomas from Australia AlmondCo. So thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
So can you guys maybe just quickly introduce yourselves about what you guys do at the AlmondCo in Australia, kind of how long you guys have been there, just so people can familiarize themselves?
Start us off, Tommy.
Yeah, I can start us off. So, my name's Thomas Dobbin. I've been with the AlmondCo Australian version for the last 12 or 13 years. More recently spent a fair bit of time on the supply side of the business, working in what we all understand is grower relations. So quite similar to how the position here in California works. We've got a cooperative structure. We work with around 135 growers that supply the company, and it represents around 85% of the growers in Australia.
Wow.
So we've got a fairly good spread, and we cover all of the key growing regions. And my role in the business is to work with those growers and suppliers and ensure that we've got the tonnage coming that we're looking for. So.
Yeah, and you guys are covering a pretty big geographical area with those growers, right? I mean,
yeah, we've got quite a large spread. So we probably span a distance of 600-700 kilometres.
What's a kilometer? Is that longer than a mile? It's twice a mile.
No, it's shorter.
Shorter than a mile.
Yeah, 1.6.
Oh.
Yeah. So
pretty big.
600. So you bring 500, 400 miles away.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Some of it by train, right?
That's by LA. That's going to from here to LA and back. That's a long ways.
But you guys, some of that crop's being brought in by train, by rail. Is that right?
The large majority is by what we call a road train. Okay. So it doesn't run on the track; it runs on the highway. Okay. But they're a very large truck, a lot bigger than what you see here. They're sort of up to three trailers, 100-ton, their type of gross weights moving around the place. So freight's a big
100-ton. That's 4 times. We're 100-ton, 25-ton on a trailer. Yeah. That's 4 trailers. Yeah. Wow, that's big.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah,
cost a lot of money, but it saves money, right?
Yeah, freight's a big component in Australia.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah.
Ben, you want to give us your rundown?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So, my name's Ben Wilbin. I work with Tom in the grower relations. So I've been at the original AlmondCo for some time now, about 4 or so years, but probably been in the industry for about 8. So we spent a fair bit of time working with growers and sort of looking at the data and trends year to year. There's always something new, always something different, but having a pretty big data set's been important. Certainly this year, as we've seen some of the results coming through, looks similar to 2023. Coming off the wet year. So we sort of align those years at the start, and some of those trends have played out, which we'll probably touch on.
Yeah. So I think maybe to set the context of where you guys are in your seasonality and where we are. So you guys are in the southern hemisphere. So you guys are going into the bloom of your 26 crop.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
So your 25 crop marketing season, for argument's sake, is basically halfway through. Right?
Yeah, that's right. We're largely sold on our 25 crop as an industry. Mm-hmm. We've harvested that back in February, March time of year. So we've had a few months of obviously receiving that product in from the fields. We're close to being done on hulling and shelling.
Still going.
Yeah, the industry's still going. Yeah. So, but we're probably talking another month.
Okay.
Of receipts, but
and for maybe further context for everybody, variety-wise, very similar to what we have in California. It's Nonpareil, Monterey, a little bit of Carmel, probably decent amount of Carmel actually, Independence, Shasta, right? So the varieties you guys are growing are very similar to what we're growing.
Yeah, we grow Californian
Yeah.
varieties predominantly. So we're about 50% Nonpareil, and then Carmel is our second biggest variety. And still, if you're planting an orchard today, you're more than likely still planting Carmel.
Yeah.
Really? You guys get bud failure there or no bud failure?
No, we get bud failure, yeah. But we certainly, I think amidst the bud failure, we still grow the crops. So growers are of the opinion that we don't care what the tree looks like as long as we get the yields. And Carmel's been a pretty reliable variety for some time in our orchards. Yeah.
In California, no more. They're done planting it.
Yeah, and I think on the back of that, we probably see, in the market that's an advantage.
Yeah.
We have true to type Carmel. The actual valuation of that advantage is so, but it is a product that we can deliver year in, year out.
So, in some countries, like India, likes the Australian Carmel in shell, right? So it's something that we've never really developed here, obviously, because we're probably just not producing it anymore. So if we could go to maybe how the season started for you guys, okay? Some of the initial maybe crop receipts. We could talk about insect damage. We could talk about turnouts. Just some of the notes that you guys had coming into the 25 crop, or the initial receipts of your guys' 25.
Yeah. So what we do, Mike, from our business's point of view, is we ask our growers to provide a crop estimate. So we're doing that in November, December, prior to the end of the year. They're going into their orchards and they're comparing, how do I look against the prior year? We provide their numbers to them and they provide us an indication back. So we receive that information prior to Christmas, and then come harvest, we have an expectation. We have a budget sort of set and formed on how do we receive the crop, in what time frame and whatnot. And then basically we look very quickly at our intake through the Huller shellers as to how that's tracking. Yeah, and then this year, obviously the key thing for us was this significant decrease in turnout of Nonpareil, which is the predominant variety.
Right.
So we see that very early in the piece, and then we had to make some adjustments this year.
So if we could go back to their original estimate, were growers, what were they observing in their 25 crop before they started bringing it in?
Yeah, I think so. I think if we start at the start, pollination was, we call it a flash bloom. So it was all over and done with pretty quickly. And the news or commentary straight out of pollination or bloom was the pollinators, Carmel, Monterey, Wood Colony, look great. The Nonpareil is off, or it's average.
When you had a flash bloom, the weather was decent.
Weather was
good,
great.
Good bee flight, sunny days and all that.
Weather was great. Bee hive strength was great. So we sort of look at that and go, you know what, if it's quick, you got to have good weather, you got to have good bees, and that's what we got. So we're probably relatively comfortable with the pollination period, albeit it was quick.
Yeah.
And then I guess the question mark that was over the crop from the start, though, was the moderate flowering of Nonpareil. So we sort of carried that through, knowing that Nonpareil perhaps wasn't going to be as big as previous years, but we were hoping that we'd pick some up on the pollinators.
Did you guys have a hot summer prior to harvest like we had last year here, when we thought the crop would be big, and we made 2.7? It was just, the temperatures were just 118 one day. It was like over a month of, it was 100-degree weather.
Some of the longest stretches and some of the highest temperatures we've seen both in June and July.
Did that happen in your Australia as well?
Yeah, so the growing conditions throughout 24 were marginally warmer than average. And then sort of leading into harvest, which harvest was early, about a week or so early, it was hot. So we had sort of kernel moistures coming in at like low 3s, and then we probably averaged maybe 4 or so, maybe low 4s for the year. So we certainly noticed, kernel moistures were down, and then we quickly realised, particularly on the Nonpareil, turnouts were down, and that tracked throughout the whole Nonpareil crop. And fortunately, once we started getting to the pollinators, the turnouts were more in line with previous years or within expectation. So
what was the estimate your growers gave you, and what was the actual crop that came in? How much difference was it?
yeah, so we adjusted our crop estimate by about 10% down, based on previous numbers and sort of some analytics based on previous years and so on. And we're sort of just wrapping up our crop now, and it looks like we'll probably finish between 5 and 7% down on our grower estimate.
One thing we did have in the growing season last year was a little bit of frost too. So we saw, certain orchards in certain regions get hit pretty significantly with a frost event. So I think for growers and our industry, understanding the impact of that frost.
This is the 24 or 25 crop.
This is in the 25 crop.
Okay.
Prior, after bloom, probably September sometime.
Yeah.
We had this week where there was some damage done from a frost point of view, and understanding the extent of that damage is not something that we're great at.
Yeah. It's hard
just
to quantify.
They're just so variable, right?
Yeah.
And some of it was significant, like when we go back and look at the orchards that had a fair bit of potential, like some growers have lost up to 1,000 pounds to the acre, like it decimated some crops. And then consequently, the crop that does come in on those orchards, you see really big size, really big fruit, low turnouts.
Yeah.
And generally, as we sort of see the size increase, quite often, particularly on nonpareil, we'll see the quality decrease with insect damage or serious defect
Makes
as
sense.
well. Yeah.
So it's kind of shaping like I guess the estimate has been $3 billion. It seems like our turnouts early on are 14-15% down. I mean, receipts or whatever you want, turnouts, and what fields loads are, and turns out, and so it's very similar to what I guess you guys had.
It seems to be that way. I mean, we've been driving around this week and looking around the valley, and we see a lot of similarities in some of this early receipts at the huller. We're seeing these larger hulls and less kernel weight per ton.
Do you guys analyze your hull percentages at all as it comes through? Was that kind of a leading indicator for you guys about, hey, here's where I think my turnouts are going? Or what do you think led to that?
We've got the benefit, like you, of being a huller sheller, so we understand our tons per hour or our throughput rates, and we notice pretty quickly that it's taking a longer time to fill a bin, right?
And so your 25 crop, you're saying is maybe 5 or 7% down compared to the grower estimate, but how does that compare more so to your 24 crop?
Yeah, it's down on 24.
Yeah.
How much down is yet to be seen. So there's still a part of the industry that's not quite finished. From a business point of view, we're very close to being finished.
Yeah.
And we'll be down
10% on probably 2024.
Yeah, probably 10%.
Yeah,
Maybe the industry will be further though, right?
Right.
It's
Why
still-
does it take you guys so long to get through the hulling and shelling?
That's a good question.
They only run 5,000 pounds an hour, Mike. That's why.
I guess there's no capacity. I don't.
Well, it'd take you 6 months to finish your hulling crop. Sounds like 6, 8, 7 months.
It's about 6. Well, for us, it's about 6 months.
Yeah.
February to
That's good.
February
Efficient. You know.
July.
Yeah. But Australia's a big country, man.
Yeah, a lot of ground to cover.
A lot of ground to cover.
Okay, so maybe kind of what we're seeing, right? So today is the 13th. We probably fired up Russell's hullers a little bit later than some guys on the western side of Fresno County. Okay, those guys are probably going 24 hours now. We are not quite there yet.
Maybe 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, but what we have received, field to field, done receiving at the huller, our field weight is down about 7%. Now we, excuse me, we receive from Fresno County, Madera, Merced, and Stanislaus County. And if you look at that objective estimate, really the 3 big producing counties that contribute to a 3 billion pound crop is Fresno's supposed to be up 17%, Kern's supposed to be up 9%, and Stanislaus supposed to be up 18%. So what we're seeing so far is we're pretty far off from that. Some of the Fresno County stuff that is done being received on a field weight basis is about 13% down. Some of the field weight coming in out of Stanislaus is marginally up. But one of the big things that we're noticing is our hulls are take up quite a bit more of the incoming field weight samples than they did last year. Last year, our hull ratio was about 55%. Today, we're 61 to 62. And so the initial turnouts that we're seeing range anywhere from 15 to 20% on the high. Last year, our turnout for non-pro was about 24.5%, maybe 25, somewhere pretty close to that.
Yeah, I think our average right now at the Huller is 20.5, when it was last year 24, 25. Big difference.
Yeah. So that's like 16% difference in meat pounds produced. Every 1% turnout's 4%.
4%, Mike. You did the number.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct.
Yes. I had to prove my point.
Mike, part of I would add that, from an Australian estimate accuracy point of view, part of the challenge that we have is that we haven't been specific enough by region, and our industry shifted its demographics of supply. So we've got these newer farms that are in more, they're in different, more challenging growing condition regions. So we've applied, as an industry, we've applied a simple yield by area number,
Right.
which isn't exactly going to give us the right
So
information.
you're like in California, further north you go, typically you get more rain and less yield, and further south you go, typically you get less rain and more yield. The same, but your demographics are the same.
Correct.
How many acres you guys have planted in Australia?
We're talking around 150,000.
And out of the 150,000 acres, what age groups are there for our almond growers to listen what's going on over there?
We've got a significant number of bearing acres that are, 25, 30 years of age.
Wow.
We're talking probably 30%, heading towards 40% of our supply. So
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
so less non-bearing, less crop coming into future production.
So atrophying, the acreage is atrophying over time.
Yeah. How about new plantings? How they've slowed way down? I'm guessing like here.
How can you make the decision to expand? It's a difficult one when you look at the last few years.
Yeah, for sure.
I think of a lot of our growers would think, Australian growers are making way more money than us because they're going into China. They're, they have this tariff advantage. So if I'm getting paid, for argument's sake, $2.20, Australia should be get
$2.50
or $3, right?
Well, I can't. 25. Is it 25% tariff still for
it's
almond?
45 right now.
For California, almonds go
yeah.
there.
And it used to be 75, and they ratcheted it back to 45. Okay. So can you debunk the myth? Can you confirm the myth? Where are we at?
Yeah, I guess we've got a free trade agreement with China, and then we've also got a tariff advantage into India. But I think probably one thing sometimes that we spend a lot of time talking about is the Australian crop. But the reality of the Australian crop is that it's less than 10% of the world supply, and it doesn't even represent 10% of your total crop that you grow every year. So, although that we do have some advantages from a trade point of view, the way that the Australian crop moves into the global supply point of view, it just doesn't really make a difference on price. So if you're an Australian grower at the moment, in our business, we remain highly diversified. So we're probably only 30-odd% into China.
And your competition will be where?
So
we move a lot of stuff. So China's still our biggest market,
Yeah.
closely followed by the domestic market.
From an industry export point of view, China's about 50% of our exports.
Oh, wow.
So the other packers in Australia are more bullish into the China market.
Yeah.
But we're sort of also aware that history shows there can be consequences on being so leveraged into China as well.
Are you 50% now because of the tariffs, or were you always 50% before the tariffs?
There's been a gap open up
Because of the tariffs.
Because of the tariffs,
Yeah.
but there's not necessarily a premium. That's where people can be a bit misled or misunderstood.
We definitely. I always thought, why wouldn't you be getting a premium if you
Well,
get?
and that's what I'm trying to. That's the question I'm asking is, if there's again, California guys, this is getting $2.25. Is it a massive financial advantage to the grower because of your free trade deals with China?
I think it's a market access advantage,
Okay.
not
And there's
necessarily a financial gain.
There's absolutely some benefits of, like, if we wanted to completely boost our grower return, you'd send 100% of the crop there. Like, it's
because there is some gain, right?
It's a short sale as well, so it's close.
Yep.
You know, they pay well. It's an easy way of doing business. But at the same time, we're not going to position ourselves to be leveraged that highly against China. So, from a growing point of view, it's not all beer and Skittles growing almonds in Australia.
What about India market? You guys send a lot of in-shell to India?
Yeah, I think India at the moment for us is about 12% of our supply goes into India from a business point of view. But yeah, I think at the moment, our tariffs into India got halved about 2 years ago. So again, we do have an arrangement that's pretty good, and we'd like to see it get better.
Yeah, we always were told that your in-shell almonds are bigger and better than us, and we run across certain times of years, and when we have carryover, you're selling new crop and we're competing. You know,
Right.
but I guess lately haven't heard that as much.
No,
So it's all going to China.
I think it's China's being accentuated. A couple other things I want to talk about really quick on what you guys saw on 25 is size of your non-pearl or your pollinators or whatever compared to 24, and then insect damage. I think that's, we are still bearing the scars of 23 crop being the worst quality crop year we ever saw, and 24 really only being marginally better. So I think a lot of our growers, the processors, the buyers, really all have their fingers crossed, like, please, are you seeing a cleaner crop? I would say right now, I am marginally seeing a cleaner crop. But how did 25 work out from an insect perspective and size?
Yeah, so from a sizing point of view, to start with, it was up. So our non-pearls were mainly sort of 22, 24s. And then the pollinators they're probably more so flat with a sizing expectation, maybe a little bit larger. But certainly the non-pearl, the Shasta, the Independence stepped up. From a quality point of view, the serious defects, so we had a really dry harvest, which is good for us. So from like a mold and a moisture point of view, it was low, negligible. But from an insect damage point of view, we often see as the kernels get bigger, particularly on non-pearl, they'll rupture the shells more, and then it just gives like an easier sort of site of access for a beetle or a moth to jump into it. So typically, or quite often, we'll see that as the kernel size steps up, so will insect damage. So we've seen this year on non-pearl, insect damage went from about 1% to 2%. So that's a 100% increase, right?
Yeah.
But as we look across our pollinators and average it down, we'll sit under 1% serious defect for 2025 across the whole crop.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
That's clean.
So we're kind of seeing the opposite on the size. Okay, so our field weight's down, our hull ratio's up, our sizes are down. And maybe that's why the hull ratio's up, is because our sizes are down. We're maybe a full size smaller right now than we were this time last year.
That's hard to believe. I know. Every time I walk the field out there with you, I mean, those almonds look big.
I think the hulls look big.
Yeah. Big fruit on the tree.
Yeah, I think the hulls look big for everybody. I mean, again, it's relatively early days. We're not going 24. Yesterday was our biggest day of receiving at the Huller. We received 131 loads.
We did?
Yep. So, and it's going to ramp up. All the trucks are on the road. End of this week, we'll have a lot better data. Next week will be, just over time, it's just going to improve. But initial indicators look relatively similar to you guys, right?
Well, it's interesting to find out as we go through the crop. Like if the non-pearls are down, they said their Californias are even.
That's kind of what the grower said early.
That's right. That's
it was, non-pearl bud set first didn't look very good. Non-pearl post bloom didn't look very good. Most people were, marginal on the pollinators. Not saying it was great, not saying it was bad. Most likely flat. So again, observationally, very similar. And then, from what we've seen so far, again, trending towards your guys's, your guys's pattern.
I think our grower indication was relatively good, and again, I would underline that it's become a discussion more about yield per hectare by region,
Right.
understanding that reality. What is a good crop in what region is something that our industry is trying to define better.
I think we've had, as far as the growing, I think we've had a wonderful growing season. It's been cool. One of our growers meters the soil temperature and stuff, and it was Seal Howe. He brought this up to us that the earth here has been 15 degrees cooler at a certain time. He was showing me this compared to the previous season of 24, right. And I think, like Mike was doing some studies, the ground got so hot last year. No matter if you put water, fertilizer on it, if you walk in sand, what's everyone done on the beach, and you stick your hand, it's too hot. The earth's too hot for the roots to even do anything. And this year's been clear opposite. I think the trees look good. We've seen some trees have some mite on them, but generally, I would bet that they're going to be a good bud set next year. Now, last year we had a terrible bud set on the nonpareils, and the Monterey crop wasn't very good. Now this year looks a little bit better, like the Californias. So I think it's very interesting how the weather here for the past 2 years has been very similar to the weather you've had in Australia. Right. Now, I guess my question is that you've had a cool spring, so I would imagine you anticipate a bigger crop next year?
We think the trees post-harvest look pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you guys had a wet winter so far, water situation wise?
No, it's been very dry. Most regions are down on their typical rain or precipitation. So it's an interesting time. Again, it's probably the age profile. It's the fact that non-bearing is significantly less than what it used to be, right. Which is why we're potentially not going to get the tonnages
right.
that we expected to get.
Yeah. I think here we did research. 75% of the trees are 15 years and younger in the state of California, and the 25% are older 16 and older.
And your non-bearing is down into now single digits, where for a long stretch of time your non-bearing was in the double-digit range.
Yeah.
Right. You would tell you from the nursery plantings, right? Your sales were rolling because everybody was getting into it. Your acreage has then ballooned. I think talking about 26 crop is super early. I think also though the quality of the acreage throughout California is probably the most inconsistent that we've ever seen. Right, just due to financial problems and even some of that Sigma stuff in the southern part of the valley really starting to bite. Right, I mean, you have a section that's been pushed out, and you're only going to be going back in whitelands of 120 acres, 150 acres.
Yeah,
right. So I mean, those are significant developments. Historically, he would have pushed it out, planted it wall to wall again. Right, so I think our acreage is not as robust as it used to be, and it's contracting as well.
For our 26 bloom happening now, the hot topic is obviously this emergence of varroa mite. So Australia is new to varroa,
really?
and we have a very small percentage of our farms are self-fertile. So we rely on bees coming in quite heavily, and because of how dry the winter's been, we've got weaker hives coming into those orchards at the moment. So there's still a question mark around, how well our pollination is going to play out.
And your guys' water costs may start going up, right? If you're not getting the rain, it's not in the system, right? They're taking water back out of the system, right? Buying those credits back away, right? So economic pressure still on the horizon, right?
Yeah. Same here. Government's taking the water away from us.
Yeah.
And then right now, if we have a drought next year, the Chowchilla Water District doesn't have no water. It drained the lake.
Yeah.
Madera's drained the lake. These lakes are drained. Merced North, they probably have some, but Merced South, nothing.
Yeah.
We also have, like on the back of like things drying up and water getting dearer, like we have growers that have entered the almond industry with zero allocation for permanent water. So as soon as, like in the last few years, that's actually been a good decision, right? So you didn't outlay all that capital initially to buy a permanent water allocation.
Because you had rain?
It's been wet, water's been cheap, so on. So as things dry up, as they do, we all know, it gets dry in Australia. So they're going to be exposed to the temporary market. So if water's been trading at, $50 a megalitre, all of a sudden that could wind up to, today it's at 350. The last drought in 2018, we've seen it get to 1,000. So all of a sudden the economics around almond growing they tighten up pretty quickly.
When you say megaliter for our growers listening, that is less than an acre foot, or what is that?
1 acre foot's about 0.8 of a megaliter.
Okay, so you say $50, it's like $80, $75 a foot, because it's less than the foot.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But the currency's in there, but close. Are you guys using about 4 megaliters an acre or 8 megaliters a hectare, or what's kind of the?
Yeah, this is always fun to try and convert.
Yeah, it's typically
Just get
8
close.
to 10 megs per hectare.
That's all those drinks last night. The brain's not working as fast
Yeah,
as it
So
is.
yeah.
4 to 5
Yeah.
Yeah.
an acre. Okay, so same use.
We
Makes
use a
sense.
similar.
I think their land takes a
Yeah,
lot more water than ours does. When I was over there with you, I'd look sandy. It's all red sand.
It just seems like they're so different. That geographical expanse of how big it
It
is.
depends on the region, right?
Right.
So there's some
Right.
guys in this heavier country
Yeah.
that are using a lot less water compared to.
Yeah, it's Dos Palace versus Kermit, right? I mean, that's a pretty stark
yeah,
difference.
that uses a whole lot less,
Right.
a foot less of water
Right.
than other
It's
places.
stark.
It just holds the moisture.
Right.
Yeah, but it has its own farming issues with that.
Yeah,
it's
no.
not. I'd rather have sandy ground you put 5 feet on than worry about having heavy soil to rot. You know?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so maybe to just recap really quick the summary of what you guys saw versus what we're seeing. So 25 crop, high expectations relative to what actually came in. Turnouts were down, sizes were up, insect damage looks like it's pretty clean. Okay, over here, grower expectations, the subjective estimate was 2.8 billion pounds. You got the objective then at 3 billion pounds. Everybody's howling about that. Now, initial crop receipts coming in, field weight down, turnouts are going to be down. They are down at this point, and sizes are down. Serious defect looks marginally better at this point than last year. So, good luck on your bloom, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, and for our growers and our industry, we need to have a good year. It hasn't been easy, you know.
No.
California's no.
Same here, man.
You know what I mean? We're not.
Yeah.
We're not down there. Kicking ass. It's been a challenge.
And I think the narrative in California over the last few days has changed pretty dramatically from is this crop really 3 billion, right? Now I think with the initial data we're all seeing is, okay, 3 billion's off the table. Now is it over or under 2.7, right? And I think that's going to be the question. It's going to, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll know in January.
Yeah,
A lot
exactly.
better.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks for coming. Let's try to do this every year. We
yeah.
took a hiatus one
Thank
year.
you guys.
It's always a good discussion. We really appreciate the connection and the opportunity. And
And next time it'd be nice to have Lewis Curtis on. I know he's a little nervous.
The
about
main
this,
man
but-
over there behind the scene.
but we miss Louis up here.
he's a very influential grower.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
No,
No, thanks, Mike. Thanks,
Thanks,
Russell.
Over and out.
Thank you.